Good morning. This is Pastor Jason of Kona Faith Center with the word for today. And the word for today is purpose. I find it interesting that Paul writes to Timothy, giving Timothy instruction in the singular. And then he writes, God saved us, called us with a holy calling for his own plan and purpose before time began. Much of what God has commanded, much of what God has promised is given to groups and not to individuals. I'm convinced that the Word teaches us that we need each other. I'm convinced that without each other, we don't meet our purpose, both individually and corporately. I think this is a mind shift change that is necessary, the shift from me to us, the shift from I to we. And I think that we need to encourage each other. We need each other to encourage us. We need each other to help motivate us to reach for the prize of the high calling in Jesus. He writes, be a person of sincere faith. Certainly this includes the one-on-one relationship with God, but I also think this requires people of like precious faith to teach, train, nurture, challenge, and motivate us to remain sincere in our faith. Clearly, Paul thought that Timothy's faith was something that he received and developed because of his mother and grandmother. Clearly, Paul is one who taught, trained, nurtured, challenged, and motivated Timothy to develop and remain sincere in faith. And Paul is now challenging Timothy to fan that faith into a flame. I think we all need people in our lives that challenge us to fan our faith into flame. And I definitely think we all need Pauls in our life that speak the truth to us, that teach us, train us, challenge us, and motivate us. The word that we use for this is discipleship. I think the Western church in the last 60 years has changed the primary goal of discipleship to the primary goal of salvation. And in doing so has turned a process, a relationship, into an event or a performance and missed out on what the real purpose of being a Christian is. The last thing that Jesus commanded his disciples before ascending to heaven was to go and make disciples, not converts. If we develop a biblical discipleship-making process, salvation will naturally be one of the markers along the way, as will all of the other commands in the Bible, like reaching out for people, loving people, helping people, growing, maturing, etc., etc. I know that God is relational in nature. I believe that God enjoys and is more interested in the relational process than the outcome. I believe that God reveals himself through our relationships with others of like precious faith. I believe that God builds his kingdom through right relationships and not through programs or events. I want to challenge you today to ask God to help you grow in your discipleship relationships. I think this is the goal, and I think this is key to really walking in the fullness of what God has intended for us individually and corporately. I want to challenge you to believe that the good work that God has begun in you, he will complete, and understand that the good work is making disciples who make disciples. The word for today is purpose, and I believe the purpose of the Christian life is what Jesus said to his disciples: go and make disciples. God bless. Check in tomorrow.